Hey everyone, Andrew Thomas coming at you with your daily quick bit. Today I'm going to go a little bit different direction than I normally do with the finances and the money and the business. And I'm going to go more with an interesting scenario I encountered. If you watched the video from yesterday, I mentioned that I may have torn a ligament or a tendon in my knee. And there's a bit of a story behind this, and it actually plays into a philosophical quandary I have been having. Um, the quandary is over the idea of fear and or courage or stupidity. So, or maybe it's more like courage and pride, the dualism of courage and pride. So what happened to my knee was I was riding my bike down a trail, and we were actually riding up a trail that we were going to be coming back down later. And as we were riding up, there were two bikers that came down the trail and they stopped. And before us was this large drop off, maybe a 4 to 6 foot drop off. Nothing I couldn't do. I had been practicing actually earlier in this day. Now, to be fair, I had never done drops like this previously. But I had been having some unique opportunities to practice it on some previously developed training areas. And so I had been building my confidence and ability in doing these drops while mountain biking. And so we watched these two bikers come down the trail and they stop. And one of them says, "Man, I'm not touching that." And the other guy says, "You know what, I'm going to give it a try." And he goes up there and we all stood by and watched him send it off of this big drop and catch him on the thing. And then there was, a quick turn and another big jump. And he did it and it was very successful. He actually did it quite gracefully. So me and my companions went up and continued riding. And then on our way back out, I had been remembering this drop. And the question was in my mind, do I or do I not? Now, the little voice that was telling me to do it was not necessarily because, oh, wow, I love the adrenaline rush and this is what I live for, but it was because I knew I could, essentially. I knew that I was capable of making this drop and that in some respect or another, I would become a better biker, a better person by confronting this thing and overcoming it. Now, it's a bit of a distant touch, but I think it's somewhat applicable. However, the part of me that didn't want to do it, it was because of the fear of what if I fall and injure myself? What if? And I think many people go into this area. And so now you're in a situation where, well, I have to weigh the pros and the cons. Well, the pros are kind of non-existent. And the cons, well, I suppose I could die. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. Or maybe the worst case scenario is living a life paralyzed. I don't know. I'm not sure. However, because I knew I was capable of doing a jump, and that the only reason I wasn't going to do the jump is because of fear, I simply had to do the jump. And so as we were riding on trail, I remembered where it was, and one of my buddies, excellent biker, he goes off to the right and he avoids the drop. There was a completely obvious, capable path to go around the drop. And the next person in line goes off the drop and goes through it just fine. And so now it's my turn, third in line. And do I go right or do I go left? Fear or courage? Pride or wisdom? And so it's an interesting thing because up until this point in my life, I've always tried to choose the path of courage. I've always done my due diligence. Am I capable? I sure am. If I know I'm capable of doing something, and I know the only reason I wouldn't do it is because I'm afraid, I feel that it would be only cowardice to not do what I know I'm capable of doing. Now, this can obviously become troublesome if you're constantly looking around for absurd challenges all around you in life and going, I bet I could climb that building, therefore I must climb the building. I can see how that could get out of hand very quickly. However, there is a certain thing that we as people notice and it scares us and we shy away. My fear of heights, my fear of recording myself on video, fear of phone calls, my fear of embarrassment or or confrontation or whatever it may be. And because of those fears, we repress ourselves and we repress ourselves and we repress ourselves. And I've always been the one to say, I will not be dictated by fear. And, I've had different stories in different countries and all around the world, and plenty here, where I have done just this same principle. I was afraid of something. I tested myself. I prepared myself. I knew I was capable. And therefore, I did not let fear overcome me. And I overcame and I conquered. And ooh, how brave I was. And in this instance, it went differently. I went off the jump just like I thought I would. I landed it just like I knew I could. But I had way too much speed and way too little trail, and I wasn't able to make the turn in time. And I did a normal fall to the side, and I scraped myself up a little bit like you would a dozen times over, and I've done many times already. It's standard procedure. But this time, a rock or a root, I'm not even sure what it was. Something caught my knee, pulled it out. There was a loud pop, and ooh, pain, ouch. And now I'm hobbling around, and who knows, once I get a CAT scan or something, maybe I'll find out I tore my MCL or my ACL, or hopefully it's just a stretched muscle or something. But it could be a big deal. And so I'm trying to figure out what the lesson here is. And I don't think that my principle of overcoming things that scare me is a principle I need to recant, even in the face of it going wrong. Because I suppose, like with all things, there is always the chance of something going wrong. I don't think that's something we can control. We can minimize the things we participate in that could go wrong. But what kind of life is that? I mean, even if you restrict yourself to just walking around the house, you can stub your toe real good, trip, and hit your head on the coffee table. Like, things happen every day. And if we dictate our lives out of fear, that's no good. But also, if we run towards the danger and get ourselves mangled or killed, that's no good either. And so it's something I've been pondering. Is it pride or is it arrogance? Is it wisdom or is it foolishness? And so this is just something I've been dwelling on. I know this is a little bit longer quick bit than I would normally do. But it's something to consider in all of our lives, whether it's buying an investment property and the fear of, well, what if something happens? Well, guess what? Things do happen. I always advocate, yeah, it's great investments. Get out there, go, go, go. But do your due diligence. Make sure you don't buy a horrible property. But there's always a risk. There's unknown things. And you buy enough properties, eventually you're going to fall. Eventually, you've done that sliding fall technique a dozen times. Eventually, something's going to catch your knee and pop it. Eventually, you're going to get that property that's going to be a money hole, and you're going to go upside down, and you better hope it's not your first one, because it's going to put a really bad taste in your mouth. But this is just some things for everyone to consider, things for me to continue to consider. And as I experience and grow and mature and go to people I trust and mentors of mine and discuss these ideas, I'll keep coming back to you guys and giving you updates on all these different things bouncing around in my noggin. So thanks so much, and I'll be with you guys tomorrow. Bye.